Hi, it's your girl Carly Jamaican here with yet another video for you. And let me just start up by saying I wanted so badly to do a live today because I love having conversations with people in the chat group. But for the purpose of this video, I couldn't do a live. I wanted to give my feedback on a video that was made by Mr. Byron Wilson. And unfortunately, I'm not technologically savvy enough to do that split screen thing. So I had to do a Zoom. I had to do a Zoom recording in order to have you watch the video as I comment on the video. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about the reaction of some people from the right or Republicans. Their reaction towards the issues that African Americans are facing today, right? And I wanted to say that it is expected that many people that are non-Black, it is expected that they are not sympathetic or empathetic to what is happening today. It actually is. As a matter of fact, we really can't expect a group of people, non-Black people, to have any constructive feedback or any solutions to the problems that we are experiencing in the African American community and in the Black community in general. I'm Jamaican, so I will identify with the Black community, so that's why I'm saying that. But it is, so when you think about how expected it is or should be, they're not going to sit there and think that they need to do anything to assist African Americans and Black Americans. They're not going to think that. And before their thoughts even go to that, go on that tangent, they're going to be critical and they're going to be in opposition first. And then having a conversation with them is going to be like having a conversation with a wall or a person from the extreme right. They're going to be very close-minded to, what we have to say and or explanations, and they're just going to be very close-minded. They're not going to receive it well at all. If they're not going to receive it well, if they even receive it at all. They're going to see us as trying to gain attention, trying to get special treatment, trying to play the victim. They're going to see all of this first before they say, hey, I see that you have a problem. Let's see how we can best figure out how to solve it. As a matter of fact, they will deny that there's a problem first before they even come up with any constructive criticism. If you notice, none of them have any constructive feedback except for, I'm sorry, let me not say none of them, but most of them have no constructive feedback. The only type of feedback you will hear mostly is, we need to address Black on Black crime before we tackle police brutality, which is not a problem. That is the feedback that you will hear. So, my response to that is, America needs to address American on American crime, period. Just because we need to address crime doesn't mean that you overlook another, you overlook this blister that is in our society. It doesn't mean you overlook it at all. So, but I just wanted to say that it is expected that they have that reaction, or it should be expected. Especially when a lot of them, they live in, communities that are not crime ridden, or they live in communities that are not over policed, or they live in communities that reinforce their ideas of the American dream and the perfect utopia and America being the best place on earth. There is not going to be a problem in their eyes, because their reality is not the reality of a lot of African Americans and Black Americans. And the fact is, some Black Americans, their reality is not the same as as Black Americans who are disenfranchised and who actually experience inequality and things like that in America. And I will say that because I've literally spoken to an African American who has said, I've never been harassed by the police. I'm a law-abiding student. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I have never had an encounter where I was in fear of my life from the police. I knew that once I complied, we would just have this issue of whatever we're handling. We'll handle the business, and then everyone gets to go about their day. But the thing is about that is, not everyone in America is like that, and not everyone in America will ever be like that. You do have people that break the law. You do have criminals in America. You do have people that are belligerent when cops pull them over. You do have people that are resistant when speaking to law enforcement. And you have this with Caucasian people, and you have this with Black people. This is not something that is so bizarre. It's really not bizarre. A lot of people feel as if they need to, push back when the police is seemingly harassing them. They need to speak up. They need to say something about the situation. Now, how a cop handles a person that is non-compliant or is resistant is all a matter of their training and their thought process and their attitude. It's literally a matter of that. You go into law enforcement knowing that you're going to deal with people like that. You're going to deal with the awful side of the public. You're not going to always deal with people like me who, oh my gosh, when the cops pull me over, I'm like, I just want to hurry up and get it over with and keep it moving. You're not going to always encounter people that are supportive of police officers. You're going to encounter, more than likely, more often than not, the seedy side of society. But then as a law enforcement officer, you always have to remember the rights of these people. And the right is that they are entitled to due process, and they're entitled to equality when it comes to the law. And you have to deal with them fairly and as safe as possible. Now, there are instances where your life is in danger and things happen. But for the most part, you are trained to deal with people that are non-compliant and resistant more than dealing with people that are not. So no, it is not an excuse that, there are criminals in society, and whatever happens to them just happens to them. That is literally not an excuse. One problem or one factor shouldn't necessarily lead to another issue. A non-compliant person shouldn't necessarily lead to death. Period, full stop. And anyone that brings that up, you do not want your society to be better. You do not want your society to be progressive. You're still living in the dark ages, and you're still living in the wild, wild west, where you think it is okay for cops not to be properly trained, and you make excuses, and you're okay with them killing criminals or suspects. So I will tell you that I'm okay with them killing pedophiles, but if I were an officer, I would know that my duty is to ensure that this person's right is protected, and that I don't know what that sound is, and that person is safely apprehended and safely brought to justice. I would know that that is my duty. So, that being said, I just wanted to kind of address that that it's pointless to argue with people that are so far removed from a certain type of reality, you know, that all they see is just numbers and stats and ideologies. Like that's the lens that they see through. They don't really see through you know, that humanizing lens. They don't see through that lens. They see through ideologies, Republican ideologies. They see through they see through these different, they see from a different perspective. They see through numbers and statistics. That's the lens that they're looking through. As a matter of fact, you know, when they look at the numbers, it's interesting because we both would be looking at the same numbers and we would be seeing that the numbers are increasing. We would see that the numbers are in the hundreds, right? But that person is looking at the numbers, comparing it to the bigger population and saying, well, there are about 300 plus million people in America, about 500 of them dying from police brutality, shows that there's not a problem. You know, we probably need to see about half of that, the population dying from police brutality before we acknowledge it as a problem. That's the lens that they're seeing through, right? 500 people dying from police brutality, 500 plus or more, you know, upwards, people dying from police brutality is a crazy number. And when you compare it to a lot of other countries who have their officers so well trained that they're able to minimize the instances of police brutality and police killings, why in God's name are we making excuses? Why? And I just don't understand why you don't want a more effective type of community policing and policing in general. Why wouldn't you want a safer type? Because you just literally can't relate. You just can't relate. You're not, you know, you don't really think criminals even deserve, you don't even think criminals should have their constitutional rights protected, period. You don't even think that, you know. So that's why to them, to you, there are literally nobodies in your mind. And so that is why you're okay with 500 plus people. And some of these 500 plus people are not even criminals. They're just regular people, some of them who decided that they wanted to speak up or just be resistant because they don't understand why they're being harassed or, you know, situations like that. Some of them are bystanders. Some of them are people that die that have totally nothing to do with whatever crime was committed or with the reason why the cop was called there to begin with, right? And we know this. So really, you know, I could tell you that you should want to see your law enforcement and your judicial system changed, but I get that you're just looking through different lenses. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video, give my feedback. Let me go ahead and share it. Just give me a moment here. Now, guys, I hate Zoom with a passion because when it comes to the split video and the sharing of the screen, because it causes my other video to play in a delayed way, and it causes it to the quality. It diminishes the quality of the video that is playing. So just bear with me with that. And you know, just try to listen to what he's saying. I will pause the video occasionally to give my input. Let me make sure you guys can hear it, because I would totally hate to start playing it and then you get it nothing and then I can't use the video. Oh, Oh gosh, and I do not want to, trust me, I don't want to screen sharing, video clip. I don't want to do, I would hate to redo it.
The world are inevitable, and contrary to the opinions of some, the riots are both effective and. I'm Byron F. Wilson, founder of the Wilson Academy. The riots that have taken place all over the country and now all over the world are inevitable, and contrary to the opinions of some, the riots are both effective and necessary. The problem is, it's not a sustainable path to what we want. But then what next? What are we supposed to do? That's what this message is about, what we're going to do. Young people, my college students, my high school students, you're ready to act. You're ready to fight. But no one's listening to you. They just keep telling you to go home. But I hear you, and we have a plan. In order to find a solution, we must first understand.
Guys, I totally agree with that part. You know, a particular leader came out and told the people and told the protesters to go home, and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed, and I think that particular mayor wanted them to go home because they were destroying um the city. You know, they were rioting really. And of course she didn't want the city to be destroyed, but I was disappointed that she said go home. You know, I would have liked for her to say, if you're going to protest, I understand, protest peacefully, but don't destroy a city that was built um by your own people. So that made me feel a little frustrated. So you know, if I can share that.
And why this is happening. The reason that officers of the law and private citizens acting as if they're officers of the law continue to murder us is because we can offer no consequence. For example, the reason you don't see Jewish people being murdered by police is because the Jewish community can provide economic consequences. They own things collectively. They're well invested in the media and the law, and they've built a strong community by focusing on exclusive internal growth and wealth building. But when members of the black community are murdered by white officers or vigilantes, we peacefully protest, focus on whatever election is upcoming, and ultimately, there are no convictions for the criminals. There's something that we missed about how the civil rights movement was effective. Protesting was just the beginning. It was to unify the people and bring attention to the issue. But the next step was always economic action, boycotting, investing in our communities. Then
So guys, this go round, the protesting actually yielded more results than previous protesting. You know, we actually have more people or more departments, governmental departments, trying to make some changes, especially within police departments, within local police departments. And you know, we're seeing Congress at this point talking, actively talking about it. And you know, we're seeing a lot of even black wealthy black people trying to do their part to create avenues or create programs that can help to eradicate racial inequality. So this go round, I would say that a lot more has been done, more than I've ever actually seen a protest being successful in accomplishing. But we can't protest forever. And what's going to happen when you stop protesting, right? So I think that he raises a point that there's a next step after. He raises a good point when he says there's a next step after protesting. Let's see.
that economic action is what forced legislation. The reason our efforts continue to fail is because we first of all keep asking for change instead of forcing it, but secondly, because we keep skipping a critical step in the process. So what do we want? Well, in the short
Oh my goodness, asking for change. That always baffled me. Like, even when we say we demand change, literally saying that you demand it or you're asking for it, will do nothing. It will do nothing. A lot of people felt like the rioting and the looting was unnecessary, and honestly, I do not condone rioting and looting, but it worked to some extent. And you didn't ask for it. You forced the hands of some of these leaders. So asking nicely, protesting peacefully, I would say yes. It brings attention to the issue, but it is a little ineffective in bringing about change. And sadly, it actually took the destruction of a lot of buildings and unfortunately the loss of lives to really understand that the Black community, they're not asking, they're telling you that you need to do something. So let's continue.
term, we demand justice. In the long term, we demand reform. But we must be specific if we are to hold our nation accountable. So we demand three things. One, we demand convictions and equitable and appropriate prison time for all officers involved in the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and all parties involved in the lynching of Ahmaud Arbery. Two, we demand legislation that ensures independent review of public safety officers. And three, we demand a modification to the standards by which officers can be prosecuted.
Guys, the Ahmaud Arbery case, let me tell you, when certain people came out and said, oh no, this is not a public lynching, I was thinking, yeah, I was a little confused as to why it was referred to as a public lynching. But when we think of lynching, we're thinking of people hanging from trees. And actually, lynching is when you have a group, have like a mob almost that is trying to exact justice or their idea of justice, similar to vigilante justice. They're trying to exact their idea of justice on someone that they believe are in the wrong for whatever reason. When I say in the wrong, I don't mean just crime. Maybe you're racially in the wrong, I don't know, but it has come out that there was some underlying racial problems. There were some underlying racial factors in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery because the man made a racial slur. So we already knew that he was racist, and he was looking through the lens of, to some extent, of racism. If they could have saved that, if they could have handled that situation better, they wouldn't have, because in their eyes, there was just a Black man in their community that shouldn't have been there doing whatever he was doing. So public lynching, just to let y'all know, does not only refer to people hanging from trees. For those of us that was thinking that, I was thinking that. So yeah, the label fits. The label actually fits.
I'm sure you've heard people say, if you want change, get to the polls. Now, I'm not suggesting voting is useless, but the reality is voting will not solve our problems. In fact, we cannot allow ourselves to become distracted by political affiliations.
Oh my gosh, folks, when he said that, goosebumps came on my skin, because I was already transitioning to that thought process. Anyway, I was already transitioning to that thought process where voting is useless if the people that you're voting in are doing little to nothing to help your communities or to help your issues and your plights. Then on top of that, the people that you are voting in are people that are possibly racist. So why would they genuinely even care about the issues going on in the African American community or Black community? So they could probably, mention these talking points when they're trying to get votes, and they'll probably, put in some laws after they've gotten the votes. But this is not something that they're going to feel passionately about changing, because it's not something that they see as a priority. And we've actually seen this play out year after year after year. This is the truth. It took buildings to start burning for anyone to look at police brutality as a problem. And when I say anyone, I'm talking about the leaders. That is what it took, because here we are in the year 2020, and it is just now that we're taking serious actions against police brutality. So no, I don't think voting, like, I don't even know what you're voting. Do you even know what you're voting in and voting for? Because if they don't think police brutality is a priority, what exactly are you going to change by voting in a particular party? What exactly are you going to change? Now, I've also been preaching the message that, okay, members of the Congress, the Senate, all of that, they're not going to really care unless you make them care anyway. So it is the people that have to force the government to work for them. So I've also been promoting that message as well. You have to make them work. You have to make them, maybe shame them into working for your community, or maybe you yourself become actively involved in politics to where you're pushing this this message or this movement in the political arena, or some other way. Currently it's through looting and rioting, but you have to make them work for you, because otherwise you're just going to overlook whatever you're complaining about. So, but when he said that, I was 100% in agreement with it. For Black people especially, voting is not necessarily the answer to the problem. The Republicans already think that police brutality, and not all of them, I'm not overgeneralizing, but most of them already think that police brutality is not a problem. So this is not something that they're going to fight for in Congress. And the Democrats, they're thinking that, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to make Black people to look like we care, and to make Black people vote for us. So and they pander and they have the crocodile tears and they lie and they promise. Okay, but is there a real deep concern for this issue? Is it? I think not. Even now, I don't think it's a deep. As a matter of fact, the hot mic proved it. The man said, and I oh my gosh, what is his name? He said that he wouldn't even care about the issue. He wouldn't even care about the issue if he wasn't up for whatever he was up for. So let me get his name. Yeah, he the hot mic actually proves it. They don't care. And this person was from the Democratic Party. This person was from the Democratic Party. Oh yes, Elliot Engel heard on hot mic, if I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care. This is not a priority for them. They do not care. I'm telling you, they don't genuinely care. They act like they care, and they act like they care to get your votes. And when you vote, If they didn't care now, why would they care after you vote? That is my message. And that's why I have jumped off the plantation of the Democrat versus the Republican. They're both so aggravating to me right now. JoJo for president, the Libertarian Party. I am like on board so 100% with them right now. So 100%. And guys, I'm pushing her. I want y'all to go visit her page, Joe Jorgensen, and donate. Help them, you know, make some noise. Help them to help to strengthen their party. You know, do what you can. But that's not what this is about right now. Uh-oh, so sorry.
The only way to get the change we seek is to show strength both economically and physically. So first, let's address physical strength. It is both irrational and un-American for us to continue to be met with force and not respond in kind. This is why we need all able Black Americans to exercise their constitutional rights and legally acquire a firearm. Perhaps Ahmaud Arbery would be alive right now had he been able to defend himself against the...
When I tell you I love the message of this man, I am pro-gun. Don't come for me. I am pro-gun. Listen to me. This is in your Constitution for a reason, okay? This is in your Constitution for a reason. Stop talking about these school shootings and whatnot. I get that there's a problem with that, and then we need to address that. But remember that it's people kill people, not guns. So get your guns, okay? And don't let any of these, especially the Democrats, I know the Republicans, they're pro-gun, so they won't really do this, but don't let them push gun reform laws that will infringe on your right to bear arms. Okay, let's go.
Thugs who lynched him. And under Georgia's stand your ground laws, well, he would have been within his legal rights. To all my gangbangers, my Bloods, my Crips, GDs, folk, everybody, I'm asking you to help us protect our communities from the white supremacist groups who would harm us. You are already armed and you're not afraid to die. I hope that you see fit to call a truce and unite against a greater common...
Put them to use! Crips and Bloods! We need you to channel all of that murderous energy correctly, okay? To protect your people. Not to use it against your people, but to protect your people. You're not afraid to die. You guys are clearly, you're clearly about that life. You're clearly about that life. So yes, let us address the Black on Black crime by channeling these gangs the correct way. Protect your people. Protect your people. Okay? Be militant for the right reasons. And guess what? You can still keep your street cred, but this time it will be virtuous. It will be virtuous for a virtuous cause. Okay? For a noble cause. So I'm with him on that. Oh my gosh, this man is like speaking from my heart. He is speaking from my heart.
In order to protect our children, our mothers, our sisters, aunties, and grandmothers. Now we must address how we fight economically. America doesn't particularly care about Black life. If it did, we wouldn't still be facing what we're facing right now. What America does care about is Black dollars. So we have to start speaking America's language. Effective immediately, we will only buy food from Black-owned restaurants. This does not apply to grocery stores, as we don't feel there are enough Black-owned grocery stores nationwide at this point to accommodate the initiative. However, there are many grocery items you can find on sites like WeBuyBlack.com. Now, our Black-owned restaurant initiative means that you will need to avoid many of your favorite restaurants. but you will discover new Black-owned favorites. And you must ask yourself what's more important. Understand that this is only phase 1 of a larger plan. We will implement phase 2 in the weeks to come. But this is something that everyone can do. So what's the point? And why will this work? According to both Nielsen and the CDC, Black people eat more fast food than anyone. By diverting our billions of dollars, we will accomplish 2 things. 1, change is not free. Supporting only Black restaurants keeps our money in our communities, money we can ultimately leverage to create the changes we all want to see. And 2, it uses our money we're already spending anyway, to create powerful billionaire allies. These companies will do what is necessary to get our dollars back. And if that means helping us to meet our objectives, well, then that's what they'll do. There are a few important notes to make when concerning this plan. This is not a boycott. We are not punishing white businesses. We are simply consumers who are making a choice to exclusively support Black restaurants in the strategic interest of justice and reform. Please note that we are exclusively supporting Black-owned restaurants, not minority-owned. The terms Black and minority are not interchangeable. So, to my Chinese, Korean, Arabic, and Indian restaurant owners, we have nothing against you personally. But if we don't do this now, there will be none of us left to buy your products anyway. If a franchise location is owned by a Black person, eat at that location exclusively. We will not harm our own people. There are websites like eatblackowned.com that you can use to find Black-owned restaurants in your area. But I'm confident that once everyone learns of our initiative, they'll let you know how to find them. We will not support non-equitable services. We will support Black restaurants that offer the quality and service we deserve. And if we have a negative experience, we will not generalize and say, see, this is why I don't support Black businesses. We will simply express our concerns to the management, and if we so choose, we just won't go back to that particular restaurant.
And this is a message for the Black community. We do that. Oh my gosh, this is so expensive. You know, I'm not going back there. Or, oh my gosh, this is why I don't support Black businesses, because the quality just isn't, quality is subpar, and, you know, I'm not going to spend my money on subpar quality. But, you know, like he rightfully said, there are other businesses out there, Black-owned businesses, that might have better quality service. So, you know, don't let that thwart you or discourage you from supporting Black-owned businesses. Okay. And remember that a lot of times why the prices are so high with Black-owned businesses is because they don't have you know, an unlimited capital to work with. They have to be paying back loans and things like that. And, you know, they're if you understand the concept of demand and supply and demand, and the concept of mass production versus you know, a small scale production, you understand that a lot of things that occur on a small scale basis, it takes a lot more money to promote, sell, and to make these things, to manufacture these things. It takes a lot more money than if they were mass produced. So that is, a lot of times, that is kind of the reason why you know, some Black businesses, their prices will be so high. So just, you know, that goes into business and economics. I am not very versed on that, but just basic concepts that I have, I know that that is the reason. For example, I have written a book and the book costs $10. Now there are some books out there that are probably better books than mine. I don't want to say that. I think my book is well written, but you know, there's some books out there that probably cost $2.99, but they're selling way more. So they can literally sell their books for $2.99 and make a lot more money than I will ever make selling mine at $10. So, you know, just especially because I'm not popular, And I'm not going to, because less of my books are going to be sold, I'm not going to be making a profit, you know, the same amount of profit that another author might make. So you know, you just have to kind of get into the gist of, or get into the understanding of how businesses work and why some Black-owned businesses, they will hike the price up on their products.
Just as we would behave with a restaurant that isn't Black-owned. This is not a one-day event. Did you know that the famous Montgomery Bus Boycott lasted over a year? 381 days to be exact. It takes time and consistency to have impact, just as it took time and consistency to implement the racist constructs we are fighting. We will continue with our strategy until our demands are met. At times, this will not be easy. You will be tempted to stray. But please accept that there can be no change without sacrifice. A brief message to white Americans. We don't hate you. We don't hate America. We just need it to work for us in the same way it works for you. Please stop saying all lives matter. Saying all lives matter is like one house in a subdivision is on fire. The fire truck arrives and you ask the fireman to douse your house with water, even though it's not on fire, because your house is important too. We've been asking for equality for hundreds of years now. Please process that. Understand, we're done asking. This word you see on my shirt is ukurua. It's Zulu. It means fight. Black people, I need us to know that we are bigger than slavery. Our existence didn't begin when we became useful to America. We have our own continent, our own African culture, our own independent history. We are better than begging to not be murdered. The time has come for us to fight, and now we know how. Now this plan cannot work if people don't know about it. So if you do nothing else, it's important that you share this post or the link to this post on all your social media. And whenever you mention the plan, please use the hashtag #HowWeFight. You can find a hard copy of the plan at thewilsonacademy.org. Remember, hashtag #HowWeFight. Share the post.
Guys, I'm so mad right now. This person decided to mow their lawn, right? I really hope the sound quality is good because this is important. If the sound quality isn't good, I am going to remake this video, but this is absolutely important. But you know, I wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. You can, I will actually, if you didn't even hear it properly, I will leave a link to his website where you can go and just see, you know, the things that he's saying, analyze it for yourself. And I think if I'm able to find a link to this video, and because it was sent to me in, you know, Facebook, if I'm able to find a link to this video, I will also include that in the description box. But guys, I hope that you listened with an open mind. I know some of the message, some of the things that he said is going to trigger some people, blacks and whites. I know some of the, I know what he's saying is really hard to achieve. You know, I know it's hard for us to come together as a community just to even consistently work on some of the objectives that he has outlined. But I wanted to get the message out there so that if we decided to give it a go, you know, at least a lot of us will know about it, you know. So that's just what I wanted to do today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.